I'm here with my friend. We had an amazing experience together, which we are going to get into. This was the blossoming of our friendship. Brandon Six Gun Gibson. What up, man?
Yo, Eliot.
How you doing?
Brother?
So let's talk about it. I mean, let's just start with Versace. Right?
Right. Oh, like Tupac in there.
Right? Like, let's just start with Versace. So Megan O'Leary, who is she's one of my favorite girls, especially one that I'm not married to, right? Like, so I shouldn't say girls that I'm not married to. I'm only married to one girl.
Right.
So we're down in Florida for some fights in Miami or for Fort Lauderdale. I can't say this word. Yeah, down there. And we all just get this text, right? Is that how it happened for you? Right? And she's like,
it's funny because right when I landed, I told Jody Escobar and Keith Jardine, I said, man, I would love to see South Beach, really just the Versace mansion. Like, I just want to see it one day. But I'm here for the fights, and I'm a worker. Like, when we're at the fights, I never go out. I never break away.
Dude, I don't even go out after the fight. Like,
No,
I say, great job. We sit in the green room together. We hang out, whatever it is. If we have to go to the hospital or if you have to do press, whatever that is. But the second we're all back to the hotel, I'm like, peace, bitches. Right?
Yep.
Like, I'm done.
Early plane, back home, back to the grind.
Yes, I'm the same. But Megan hits us up and it's like, hey, you guys want to go to the Versace mansion tonight for dinner? Yeah.
And I'm like looking around my room. I'm like, man, I got a UFC hoodie.
Yep.
I need to get some real flashy drug dealer Miami chic outfit going.
Yep. I think that's all of us. Me, you, and Sean Madden all have the same fucking thing. And then after I run the credit card at the mall, I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I had to buy everything. I had to buy pants, shoes, shirt, a jacket. It was like $400, right? And I was like, fuck, how much is dinner going to be? Like, am I dropping 2 G's on dinner? Like, because my wife's going to kill me.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to act like I'm a baller, but I also was like, what an amazing experience that we cannot pass up.
Yeah, you can't say no.
No, we're in Miami. We're invited to the Versace mansion for a private dinner with our friends, with beautiful people. I'm gonna make it happen.
It had to happen, but dude, I don't eat dinner at 11 o'clock. You eat dinner at 11 o'clock?
Sure.
I'm in bed.
I was trying to justify it too. I was like, okay, mountain time.
Right? Yeah, yes. Right? I'm like, okay, yeah, that's only 9 o'clock, so that's not too late. And it's really cool. Like, yeah.
It's just protein.
Yeah. And it wasn't even the food that was amazing. It was just like the experience. And then us being the last reservation, right? Then we got to tour the house. How'd you feel about that?
I just thought it was incredible, like, be breaking bread and like, this is Gianni Versace's cigar room. Madonna was hanging out over here.
Yeah.
I don't know, just kind of like Hollywood chic, but it wasn't Hollywood, but it's just a timeless classic place. And even prior to Versace, I just love the architecture, and that was a historic house, and I just dig the whole vibe, man. And then you guys, wouldn't have been a great evening without all the extended family.
Yeah, it was really cool. I had such a good time. And man, I guess if that's one thing that Megan does, like she like really brings people together, right? She's a baller like that. Like I'm her biggest. Like, I won't say I'm her biggest, but I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of her and Joey B.
They're just like conduits of positive energy, man. They've never brought me around somebody that wasn't just a beam of light.
Yes.
Just great people, and that there's never anything I got to worry about. Like, my wife loves Megan. She trusts that, like, when I'm out on a fight and we go and hang out, she's like, oh, Brandon's with good people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not doing stupid shit. Because
right.
The road and fight night, like for me, part of fight, like the road in the fights is like people do stupid shit after fights, right? Because it's so intense.
A lot,
right?
So much built up emotion and stress, and whether you win or lose.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Not all of it always comes out during the fight.
No, and especially, it does for the fighter a lot of the times. But for the close people around, it doesn't, right? Like, it's so intense, and you don't get that. Like you still, like, if your fighter truly hates that other person, like after the fight, those guys normally don't hate each other that much anymore because they just fought, and you like build up all this animosity for that person kind of too with your fighter, and it didn't dissipate.
You carry, as a coach, you got to carry a lot of weight and energy and emotion. And sometimes you got to match waves with the fighter.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll match it and ride it, kind of depends on the fighter. But, yeah. And, early on, I think you and I are both very fortunate to have a similar mentor in Greg Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I really started coaching, I was young. I was like 27. And Greg was already at the peak. I mean, he had Rashad and GSP and all these legendary fighters. And Greg always gave me really good advice early on, kind of about how to handle the road life, especially. Like, who are you going to be? And if you're going to be a different person on the road, Brandon, that's fine. I'm not going to hold it against you. But, just be aware of the repercussions of all that. And
that shit catches up.
Catches up quick.
Yeah, and you see it, right? You see coaches. I don't know. I see coaches on the road all the time, and then you just see them. You're like, oh man, what happened to that guy?
I'm not at a fucking airport bar every Saturday, every Sunday. Like, I'm not trying to. That's not the life I'm trying to live.
No, not even close to the life I'm trying to live, right? Because that sucks. And then, what are we trying to do, right? Like, what are we trying to do with this coaching thing that we have? It's hopefully it's longer than a fight career. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you see a couple careers as a coach.
Yeah.
You don't see one.
Absolutely. There's been times I've seen coaches kind of butt heads a little bit. And one of the wise things Greg would always say is like, hey, remember, we're going to be here past this one fighter. Like, I'd see coaches just butt heads on, jockeying for position with a fighter almost. And it's like, hey, we all got to stick together and stay united and focused, because we're all going to be here way past this fighter and this generation of fighters into the next one, into the next one, into the next one.
Right.
So try to keep that perspective, not get twisted on real small things like, like a percentage of money or this or that, or who got the better hotel flight. Like, none of that stuff matters.
You see it with the fame as well, right? Like, how do you guys have had so many famous fighters, right? Like, and you guys have, probably the best, let's say top 2 or 3 pound for pound fighters in the world, and Jon Jones, right? And you guys, there's Wink, there's Greg, and there's got to be this whole host of a team behind that. Like, how do you guys all handle that so well?
We've all been working together really, really well for a long time, pretty much since Jon arrived, and obviously Wink and Greg at the helm. And there was phases where different coaches would be brought in. Jon's always that guy seeking knowledge. And we're also so secure in our position and our work ethic, not just our position, but our work ethic, that we encourage Jon to bring on other coaches and new looks and new sparring partners. And, so over the years, he's brought in different boxing coaches, and he's brought in, he's added Tusal Ankar, jiu-jitsu professor, who's been a great fit. But for the most part, it's been Greg, Wink, Izzy, myself, and Tusa for several years now. We've got a good thing going.
Yeah. How do you guys deal with the drama that comes with Jon Bones Jones, right? Like, that can't be easy for you.
I've seen a lot of people kind of break under the pressure of a championship camp and a title fight. I think everybody really knows their lanes well, and we all kind of support Jon in different ways. And there always is a little chaos. I think even Greg and Wink and Izzy and I are kind of a yin yang to each other. Whereas he can get a little hyped and crazy, I kind of a little more chill and zen. And I see the same in Greg and Wink. Right. So I think Jon surrounds himself with a balanced approach. And we're used to a little bit of craziness, especially like the DC camps. Those were emotionally taxing.
Yeah, because they fucking hate each other. That ain't fake. They hate each other.
It's kind of like 2 wolf packs coming across each other too. Like, I'm always so professional with all the other coaches and fighters, and I always give DC a hug when I see him. I have the utmost respect for him. But when you're in that pack, sometimes, man, everybody has to be ready, and it is a lot of emotion. How
did you get here? Like, so you were born were you born in Albuquerque?
Yeah, I was born in El Paso, Texas, which
okay.
None of the Texans want to say is Texas, and want to say is Mexico, and none of the New Mexicans say one. So it's a unique place. But I was born in El Paso. All my mom's family was from southern New Mexico for generations, going back to cowboy days and Lincoln County War and stuff. And my dad was in the Army. Met my mom in El Paso, Texas. Here I am. We moved up to Albuquerque when I was a little boy, and I was raised in part of Albuquerque that's kind of close to the old Jackson's gym that you would go to. We all the politicians like to call it the International District.
Okay.
Most people call it the war zone.
Yeah, dude,
So,
right there on Central, man. Fuck.
and it's a rough place. And you know what? My family's very hardworking people. My mom's a waitress. My dad was a truck driver. They made a lot of sacrifices for us, and my mom and dad split up when I was young, so it was just my mom,
You have brothers and sisters?
little brother, and a little sister. And,
Okay, so you're the oldest.
I was the oldest, so we were just latchkey kids, man. And yeah, it was just a rough neighborhood. And early on, I was kind of getting bullied around a bit. My dad said, "Hey, like, you're not moving. We're not going anywhere." So
You have to figure this out, boy.
figure this out. And there's a little boxing gym up from your school. So I was in elementary school, and I would walk to this boxing karate dojo every day. So I pack a gi in my backpack in second grade. I'm just a little boy. And I'd go walk to this gym after school every day, and I'd stay there 3-4 hours. And my dad would pick me up when he got off work. And I was a little martial arts nerd too. I'd be bringing sais to school and a chaku and probably things that get kids in trouble these days. But it gave me so much self-confidence, and I just always sticked with it. So my teenage years, I boxed a lot. And when I was about 22, I had a coach, and I think I probably thought I was good. And he said, if you think you're real good, you're going to come train where I train. And so he took me to Winklejohn's. And that night, Mike Van Arsdale, Joey Villasenor, and Keith Jardine put an ass whooping on me like I had never gotten before. And I said, okay, I'm in the right spot.
What year was that? When was that?
That was 2003.
Okay, so yeah, so that was before I came down to Albuquerque.
Yeah. But I remember at that old gym with Winks, like Nate Marquardt would come down a lot, and Dwayne would come down, and eventually Wink and Greg merged gyms, and
Right.
and I think that was kind of the boom for our little MMA team.
Yeah, there was a time when the first time that I came down, Wink had this little like place in a strip mall.
Yeah,
And like we went and sparred there, and it was like almost like a karate school almost. It wasn't
it was like kids karate and
yeah.
and then 8 or 9 o'clock at night, some bad motherfuckers like you would walk in there.
Exactly. We had to walk in at 9 o'clock. It was 9 o'clock. And we had trained all day, and Nate was like, okay, this is where we're going. I'm like, dude, it's fucking 9 o'clock, Nate. And this was my taste to like the when I came to Albuquerque, was my taste to like, dude, this is a fucking fight town,
Oh, yeah.
and this is how fighting goes. And back then we were doing like 3-hour practices. There was none of this.
Like 15 rounds of sparring.
Yeah, go again. And you're like, dude, we have been sparring for over an hour straight, with like 40-second rests. What's that?
I'd be like, man, I think I had a concussion a half hour ago, and I'm still in here.
I'm still in here.
Today,
And the mat, it was barely a mat. It was that blue,
Yep.
and it was concrete underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were doing takedowns, so you'd get boom, and like I was like, fuck, all right. Like, am I coming back here? And the next thing you know, yeah, you're back another month. So that was what made Albuquerque's kind of helped me like make me who I am a little bit. So I have this. I hate it. I can't fucking stand it. But I have this like love for it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's
a true fight town.
Place. It's a hard place for sure.
Yeah.
And it's in a culture. It's like one of the only places I've ever been where it's like socially acceptable to have gotten in a street fight, which I'm not trying to be that person, but it's like you can just be driving around and see it. It's a wild place. I always say all the time, it's still the Wild West out here.
Dude, my first night there, we drive up, we train, we go eat. That that Vietnamese place that everyone loves, Up Central, right? Like from the, I don't know, everyone loves it. So, and then then we come back and we're getting gas. Dude, the next thing I know, we're all out of the car because these motherfuckers hit the car. And then Rashad jumps out and Van Arsdale jumps out. I'm like, oh shit, where the fuck am I? And it was just like, it didn't happen, but it was ready to happen.
Yep.
It was ready to happen. I was like, all right.
They strapped out here. It's wild.
Yeah, man. It's the Wild West. It's the Wild West. But somehow it's worked for you, right? You haven't left.
No, I do love it. And coaching is only like my part-time gig. My full-time gig, I work for our city government. I have for 21 years, and I take a lot of pride in being a civil servant. I feel like kind of the area I grew up in, I wouldn't have gotten through if it wasn't for the community supporting me. Like I was on free lunch programs. I was on I was in social programs after school. I was. I earned scholarships. I feel like my community really invested in me, and I feel like it's my duty and obligation to reinvest back into my community.
How do we get more of that out there, right? Because you see so much right now, like these, all they do is take. They just take, and that's just not the case, right? Like, I mean, you needed free lunch.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. And now I'm at a point, I feel like not just me, like my little brother's a doctor. My sister works at Sandia National Labs.
And you all had free lunch.
We all were supported by our community. Absolutely.
Right.
And
That's what I'm saying. Free lunch. You all had the free, right? Like it was because you couldn't do it.
And now I pay, that back a million times over.
Yeah, man.
A million times over. And not just in, taxes and what, but how I support the community. Like I went and played barefoot soccer in this, terrible park where there had been a shooting there the night before. And we were trying to get this youth community soccer program going in this international district, and young men of color of all different backgrounds and races and nationalities and religions. And everybody was kind of afraid to go the next day. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to get this game started. Let's go, kids.
Right.
And sure enough, 20 minutes later, everybody felt, safer. And so sometimes you just got to lead by example in those uncomfortable situations and take back our community at times.
You got to step into the darkness.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's on you to shine some light. It's on all of us to shine some light on some darkness.
Mm-hmm. In that same park, it just had been crime ridden, and it was catty corner from where I grew up from. So I took a lot of pride in helping that park. And I hired one of my very good friends, who's a Native American muralist, Jake Fragua. And I said, I just want you to put up this mural around this old pool and just make it so pop with light and love. And, this community is so much more than how it gets perceived sometimes. And now it's cool because he painted kind of this like a native rug mural style. And now it's become a hub. Now all these political leaders are there, and everybody's like reinvesting more and more and more. So sometimes a little area just needs a little spark, and it could be something like art to bring it.
It could, yeah. And you don't know what it's going to, so you have to try.
Yep.
Right. It's just like martial arts. You can't give up on it.
Yep.
Like we all don't get to be Jon Jones, right? Like that, like not everyone's path is the greatest of all time, and never losing and yada yada. Sometimes your path is this, and it's kind of cool hearing you tell this story of how you have two paths. Yeah, you get to touch greatness.
Yeah.
Right, but you also get to touch the potential of greatness for other little kids that you don't know.
Absolutely, and you never know when you're going to be that spark to help somebody's path change.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. And sometimes I feel like people, man, how can you be part of Jon Jones's team and all this greatness and all these titles and you do it part time? But it's like there's nothing about the coaching gig that's part time either. Like, right? That is long nights, long weekends, and decades of work to even get to the spot where you can lift up a pad to catch Jon Jones's hand. Right. That's a lifetime of dedication to get to that level. And like I said earlier too, like if I'm not evolving, Jon will move right on. Like he's
oh yeah, because he has to.
Because he has to, and and if I stop evolving, I harden, I stop, I crumble, I'm gone. And so I have to stay innovative and motivated and inspired. And holding pads, you probably feel the same way about your job. Like the martial arts technique and strategy is so important, but it's still such a small piece of what we do. Such a small piece.
What do you think is the biggest piece?
Just being there, the brotherhood.
Yeah, right in that time, right?
Yep.
Like that time, because you have Jones, I have some people coming up, but there's going to be an end to their career as well.
Yep.
And it could be we don't know what that end looks like.
Yep.
And our job is to be there no matter what.
Absolutely.
Right? It's to stay with them.
Big checks, and when they retire and they move on, and I want to be having coffee with my friends and playing chess or with them on a Sunday, and watching our kids grow up together. Like these are lifetime relationships. And
I feel like our job is to make sure they have a good life.
I agree. I would say I want to make sure that we're playing chess when we're 70.
Yeah.
Because if you can't,
I fucked up.
Yep, I failed.
Yeah, because that's not life. That's not a life. Like, and I can remember on the other side of that being on the fighter end, being like, man, I would give anything to be the champ for a day, one day, right? But it really be mine, like, and then I'll go fight. If you told me that I get to win this one and then I have to go lose that one, I'll do it. I'll do it. And if you tell me my arm's going to break in the loss, okay.
Yep.
And it will never, yes. And if you tell me that maybe I'll never be the same again, I would have said yes. But now I got kids.
Right.
And now I see the back end, and It's not that, right? It's not that, because fuck, man, like there's so much more to life than just these quote unquote big moments.
Oh, it's all fleeting, right? It is. And there's just so much. Yeah, I agree with you, man. There's so much more to it. And I always tell the young fighters, like, man, we got a small window of our lives to play this game, and then we have the rest of our lives, So be smart about your time here. And sometimes when I coach, I'm sure you're the same way. Like sometimes I get real passionate, and I tell them. I feel like as I get older, like the more my scope has, I'm like, no, I become the old man with a Kangol hat and a cigar, just telling the kid, like, no, I need 10,000 jabs. I'm like starting to see that more and more and more every day.
Man, you can't bridge. You don't bridge right. So no, we're not going to do this crazy thing. You're going to bridge, because if you can bridge, now we can start, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
And it's so hard, especially in this game, right? Because, like for like just boxers, 10,000 jabs, okay, like that might be actually very reasonable.
Yes.
But in MMA, they're like, well, then I got to do 10,000 jabs. I got to do 10,000 arm bars. I got to do 10,000 double legs. So it's hard to get that, but the lifetime martial artist is the goal. Right?
It is.
Like the lifetime martial artist, get on the mat when they're all done too.
Mm-hmm. So. And it's such a big part of me. I know that's, if I can stay healthy and sharp, I'm going to always be that guy. And that's my goal. I want to be practicing Tai Chi in the park when I'm 90.
Yeah.
Learning.
Being that old guy, right? Who was it? It was Steve. Is Steve still around?
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Steve, Greg's first student.
Yeah, crazy Steve, man. Comes in his cane, right? Like, and he's just in the gym,
He's just in the gym. Yeah, it's where it goes. And I think that's why we all started, right? Like nobody, I don't know, maybe some people go to the gym having this grandiose vision of being a champion and all the greatness. But, I think a lot of people just want to go and find a place that they can have an outlet. And then they're like, okay, I like this. Okay, I'm getting good at this. And then you see those things. But almost everybody I know just went to the gym or the wrestling mat or the karate school or the wrestling class looking for an outlet.
Something to connect with.
Yeah.
Somebody to connect with. Because that's what we're all really looking for, right? Is community. Like other people that are like us. Because there's this fear that we're the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I know for me, when I was like in the depths of my anxiety and stuff, it's like I'm the only one that's suffering like this. And then when I started to speak about it, other people would tell me, oh, no, and then we had a connection. And sports does that. Sports
does that.
Like I just can't, and we're going to call martial arts right now sports, because like that's what you're all doing the same thing. You all have this same goal, like of getting better at this martial art, and you're helping, and you can't do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like John can't do it with just you, right?
No.
And Jody Escobar, she can't do it with just you. Like you're there, but she needs all these other people.
I always say that. I tell the fighters all the time too, when they're like, hey coach, I may work with this other guy. Is that cool? And I'm like, listen, no one coach can make the complete martial artist. It's impossible.
It's impossible. I encourage it. Please go.
And then tell me all the cool stuff you learned.
Yeah, bring it back. Let me see. Yeah, let me see what you're doing. Right?
Let me see. Inspired and influenced by my students just as I have by my masters.
Yeah. And that's what's that wisdom quote? Like you start to really gain wisdom when you realize how much you've studied and then how much you just don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's like the universe. It's unknowing all of it. You can't see it all. And I feel like knowledge is like that as well.
Mm-hmm. You never know who's going to hold it. And I feel fortunate because I've got to work with so many of the greats. So, and so many different styles, right? Like, so from a Cowboy to an Overeem to a John Dotson. And now as I train this, maybe like the third generation of fighters I've worked with, now I'm kind of like, you know what? You could use this little tool that Cowboy has. And you could use this little tool that Andrei Arlovsky had. And now I'm kind of getting to transfer it down through generations as well.
Yeah.
And our sport's so new, I can't imagine where all that's going to go when coaches like you and I are really vested in our.
Dude, ADCC was this weekend for jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And I was super stoked. I got to compete. It was the only thing that I hadn't done in my career. So I got an invite. So it was really cool. But one of the really coolest things was to see there's a couple teenagers in it, right? Like that got in, like a 16-year-old and 18-year-old. Wow. And just what they're like, I was like, God damn. Like they're babies. They barely have hair on their balls yet, right? Like imagine in a couple of years, because I was like that, when it came time to sign up for the absolute, right? Like I signed up, I was like, man, I really hope that little skinny 16-year-old doesn't do it because he might beat me, right? Like I'm the oldest guy in the whole competition. I was like, God, the ego in me was like, fuck, that 16-year-old might fuck me up.
Yeah. Well, they're learning at a whole different level, and there's so many like when you and I, 2003, 2004, MMA, it's not like you could just go down your corner block to an MMA gym or a jiu-jitsu gym. You had to you had to drive 6-7 hours to come down to us to gain a little more knowledge.
Well, because there was the only MMA gym around. We had a jiu-jitsu school where we did jiu-jitsu. And then you could kickbox. And then even for us back in the day, to wrestle, we had to drive 2 hours each way twice a week for fucking wrestling practice.
It's such an investment just to seek out.
Yeah. I was like, fuck, man, I'm tired. And I hate wrestling. I fucking hate it. I swore after when I retired from MMA, I was never going to do another goddamn wrestling practice again. Right. And we always did it after sparring. It was after the 2 sparring days that we wrestled. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to drive to yeah. And now it's all in one place.
Oh, and then there's another one, a couple blocks down.
Yeah.
And just the availability of knowledge is extraordinary. And
the opportunity,
it's there. And it's not just, going and watching internet videos. It really is everywhere. And it's great that the sport has come to this place. Something I love, something that has given us careers and structure and foundation and made us strong men. So I get excited to know that the path is there for others.
For sure, man. And I have to say, there's one thing that really touched me about you, man. When we were sitting in the Hilton, actually the tournament was at the same place. So I was back in that same Hilton this weekend. Yeah. So what's that?
A little deja vu, huh?
Yeah, a little deja vu. And you were like, man, it helps me leading fighters. Mm-hmm. Helps you with your job. And understanding because you're dealing with city workers. Right, you're in charge of city workers who aren't oh yeah, let's do this for the team necessarily, right? They just need a paycheck a lot of the times.
Absolutely.
But you get them on a team, right? And you were talking about that. Talk about that a little bit, man.
Yeah, I actually just transferred jobs, so and it's the same transfer, but the mayor said, Brandon, I need you to go help us out in this other area. And I think one of the reasons I was tapped is because they felt like they needed a leader there. I have hundreds of employees, and some teams are definitely those teams that want to rise to the occasion and help everybody. And but the common theme is, a lot of people are just in it for themselves, and it's their career, and they're never going to get promoted, and they don't want to go anywhere, and they're going to work 25 years in the same exact job and get their pension and leave and move on. And that
job's not great, right?
No, it's not great. It's not the worst thing.
Right.
They're not in a coal mine, but it's not all great. And how do I get that guy? How do I connect to that guy to be part of his team, to be part of the bigger team and help us, you know, achieve some real goals and change our community? And so, yeah, you know, I've learned so much from coaching, especially from Greg, and learning about just different mindsets and different goals and priorities for people. And how do I tap into that? And how do I connect to them? And, you know, Greg loves Captain Ernest Shackleton, whose crew got smashed in Antarctica. They pulled their boat across Antarctica. He didn't lose a single man. And, you know, could you imagine pulling a boat across Antarctica and not wanting to look over like, this motherfucker had a little more food than me today, or he's a little closer to the fire. And Shackleton was able to keep that whole team together, and they were able to get off and sail to another island and survive and all get back home to their families. And so sometimes it's like, you know, you could pull a team together no matter what under the most terrible circumstances. And I'm not in the most terrible circumstances. So I think a lot of people do just want to be led. I think a lot of people just want to be heard and listened to. They know I can't give them a raise or a promotion or, you know, all these tangible things right away. But what they can feel is feel appreciated and valued as a team. So there's a lot of days, man, I won't sit at my desk. I will be with the working man, the working woman, learning about their job, you know, shoveling shit with them when I can, leading by example, and just giving them my time and my energy. And then I'll go to the gym, bust my ass, sweat it all out, come home, and then I handle all my desk work. I'll be on my computer either watching tape for a fighter or, you know, answering work stuff for the next day. So I'm just a grinder, you know, but I take a lot of pride in it. I know a lot of people look up to me and respect and value my leadership. And I don't wear that responsibility lightly. I take it very seriously every day.
It's the most important thing that you have, right? Like to show people how, because nobody does what you say. They only do what you do.
Absolutely.
You know, and so there's something I talk about. I have this kid at my school who's drives me nuts, you know, and like last night he was asking me another silly question. Like he's asking me to call Dana White for him to get him in the UFC, all this stuff, you know, and I'm like, yeah, no, right? Like, and then I was like, he asked me something. I was like, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. You sleep too much. You know, like you sleep too much. You sleep too much, man. Like he's like, I only sleep 7 hours, 6 hours a night. I was like, yeah, that's way too much.
Yeah.
You know, that's way too much, man. Like I sleep that now, but like when I needed to make, like when I was like, okay, this is the only path. It's like 3 hours.
Yep.
You know, 3 hours, then one night you'll catch up.
That's it. Oh,
right?
I was just my wife that I'll hibernate, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be, 4 or 5 hours of sleep for weeks on end. And then I'll have a day where it's like, okay, this Sunday, I'm going to have my blackout curtains.
Yep.
Don't let the boys wake me up. And if I crawl out of bed at 2, 3 in the afternoon, I will. But that's kind of like a natural cycle for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and sometimes that's just what it takes.
I agree.
Right. That's just what it takes. 40 hours a week. I got this 40 hours a week is part-time. That's a part-time gig. Look, it's a full-time gig if that's all you want. Like if you're good with what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you want more, like if you want greatness, if you really like, it's not even greatness. If you want to touch someone's life, the knowledge that you have to be gaining during the times when you're not getting paid, when you're just learning, you're just grinding, you're just in it, and you know, man. It's 40 hours a week. That you have a part-time job at 40 hours.
That's it. I do remember that last time we were talking and hanging out, we were talking a lot about how people don't value an apprenticeship. Like everybody.
That's how this started. Yeah.
Immediate gratification. And it didn't matter if it was my government work or the gym. Like there was an apprenticeship period where like learning, you don't just learn to hold pads. You don't just learn to, even if you have the knowledge to teach jiu-jitsu, learning to run a class. Learning to lead a pack, it's so much work. And nobody's just going to pay you to do it. Not at a high level.
No, not at a high level at all. You're going to do it for free.
Yeah, but you're
right?
It's like, yeah, you're going to pay an apprenticeship. And I've seen so many coaches come through Jackson's and want like immediate stardom, immediate, put me in the UFC, pay me the big dollars. And it's like, nah, dude, that's not the path. That's not the path.
You just got to wait. you just gotta like, what I tell people is just don't let me not see you.
Right.
Right. If I see you all the time, if you're like, and don't be like touching me. Don't be like, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. Just be here. Just every time I turn around, oh, there's that motherfucker. Oh, there he is again. Hey, why don't you go pick up the broom? I'm gonna let you sweep the floor. Right. Like, let's sweep the floor together, you know? And then like, all right, you'll sweep the floor, huh? Cool. All right. Now let's see if you can teach that person that doesn't want to fight over there. See if you can handle them.
Right.
You know, and then okay, you dealt with them really well, because those people are way harder to teach. Like unathletic, right? Like unathletic, have never done anything physical in their life. If you can get that person to do a hip out escape, all right, for sure you can get fucking, you know, Corey Sandhagen to do a hip out escape, right? Yeah. Like, so.
But I'll see this, you know, a lot of the same thing with young fighters that walk in. They like immediately want the privates with Greg and the mitts with Wink or me. And it's like, nah, dude, you don't just get to walk in here and get that either. And it's not me thinking I'm on this elevated level. I just tell the guys like, no, you got to show me, man. Like, come to my class and show me you can get through a full class and learn and focus and do the combination I asked, not your own variation of the combo that you added 17 moves on that you think is cooler now and better.
Show me you can work with the room.
Show me
that you have a partner, that you're going to add something to people's lives, not just take.
Yep.
You know, not just take. What are you giving to the situation? You know, and for me, that changed my life. Like that whole idea of stop wondering what's in it for me.
Yes.
And see what it is that I can do for somebody else. I have gotten so much more from that, right? Like I've gotten, I'm not saying, right, like what has come back to me has been exponentially larger since I was like, no, I'm going to give as much as I can.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes.
And yeah,
for any real substance, any real value, you have to put everything you have into it.
For nothing. You with no expectation of anything coming back.
Yeah, you know, and once you find something you're that passionate about, that will be your life's purpose, you know, and then you will find the path and carve it out one way or another.
What would you be doing if you didn't have, like, if there was no Jon Jones, would you still be coaching?
1,000%.
That's right. I wouldn't do anything.
I was a little 7-year-old boy carrying a gi and boxing gloves, you know, to the karate gym, and nothing has changed in my life. That's who I am.
Yeah. I'm going to do martial arts till the day I die.
Yep.
Like, this is it. I got nothing else to do. You know, I like podcasting. I love this. It's fun. It's fun. I really enjoy it. I like making videos, and like I'm starting to become an author. But what I really love is martial arts.
Yep.
Like, I don't have to work. I don't have a job. I've been fucking retired for my whole life.
Sometimes I think of guys too, like Cus D'Amato, and he had Floyd Patterson, you know, in the 50s and 60s.
Fuck yeah, right.
And then for 20 years, he's still practicing his craft. He's still coaching. You didn't have any other heavyweight champs. And then Mike Tyson walks in, you know, and he would have still been doing it if Mike Tyson walked in or didn't walk in.
Well, of course, because he did it.
Walked in or didn't walk in. Like, that's who he was. That's what he did. That was his life's work. And, yeah, Jon Jones or no Jon Jones is who I am.
Right. Yeah, you're a martial artist, like down to your core. And it's something that we really all have to understand a lot, right? Is like, what would you do if there was no money in this? Would you still be doing it?
Yep.
In whatever your life is, not just martial arts. Like, for sometimes people, the same student last night, I was like, well, what do you love? And he's like, what I think I love is money. And I was like, okay, well then you should do gay porn. Because, dude, you know how much male gay porn stars make?
Sure.
Dude, they make a fuck ton. They make like 30 G's a scene, right? Like 30 G's a scene, dude. You do 10 scenes a week.
Boom.
You know? Boom.
Money.
Do that for a year. You're done.
Oh, dude, drive a Lambo.
Yeah, drive as many Lambos as you want. You're done. It's over. You're set.
Right.
But he was like, nah, man. I was like, no, boy, you said you loved money. You said you know, you said you were in this for money. So I just told you how to make money.
Yeah. Go get it.
Right? Go get it. But you need something more than money. Right. And we all need something more than money. And of course we need money. So this is where it gets tricky. So how do we do it? Right. And it's what you do. It's the late nights.
Yep.
It's the working with the people, the city, the community during the day, and then coming and giving more later.
Yeah, Elliot, because I always say that if coaching was dependent on money, I wouldn't be any good at it. Right? Like my passions, and I did it for free for years. And there's only a few fighters you get paid by, right?
You're probably in the hole still. Even with Jon Jones, right? You're in the hole.
Yeah, the labor of love, and sometimes I say the money from Jon allows me to reinvest into the next generation that much more.
Right.
Like now I got a little more gas money to go to some other kid's smoker and middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes, and I never want my decisions coaching to be guided by money either, which is the biggest thing. Because if I did, then I'd be a real motherfucker telling my friend, go pick up another fight because I need another paycheck. And I would never do that ever. I don't want my kids' food or my house lights or mortgage payment based on if Jon Jones or Cowboy or Carlos Condit fight.
I don't need blood money.
I don't need blood money.
I don't need blood money. Nope. And the second the fighter's done, the fighter's done.
Yep.
And we have to be able to have that conversation.
Yep.
But if you made a great point. If we're doing it for money, then it's really hard for us to have that conversation.
Yeah. You can't be biased. And I see a lot of coaches that, they're with that one guy and this is the only thing they have. And they're amazing coaches and amazing martial artists, but I see them guide their fighters into decisions that maybe aren't the best for them long term.
Mm-hmm. And even maybe you need more time off.
That's right.
Like you got, you're coming off this injury. You just got knocked out, whatever it may be.
You're 30 something.
Yeah. Yeah. And the 30-day suspension that you got from the commission while this is the one that kills me, while laying unconscious for 30 seconds and you're only suspended 30 days. No, go fuck yourself.
Yep.
Right? No, we're not fighting in 30 days. We'll talk we'll talk in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's.
And sometimes I had to learn that lesson the wrong way, or the hard way, not the wrong way, but the hard way. Not that I was driven by money, but I let the fighter's own voice be too strong and mine wasn't strong enough.
Yeah. How'd you change that?
Finding my voice more and more. And I think Cowboy's a good example of that. Cowboy and I were peers. I got a lot of love for Cowboy when I started working with him. I think we were both in a very good place in our careers and our lives. And we had a nice run at welterweight together.
Right.
But it got to a point, especially kind of leading up. I felt it a lot going in the Robbie Lawler fight where Cowboy was just injured. And Cowboy's like, no, but I fight. It's who I am. I say anyone, anywhere, anytime. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but you also have a really bad injury that's not allowing you to use the tool that we need the most in this fight. And we went forward with it, and we didn't get the result we wanted. And then we went into the Masvidal fight, and it was the same thing where there's all these other factors weighing in, and and hindsight's 2020. But those were the times where it's like, man, I got to put my foot down and tell you to rest and tell you to recover. And I think once we were finally getting there, then it was kind of, then I'm out and the next guy's in.
Right.
Because the fighters don't want to hear that either sometimes.
Dude, Cowboy's such a difficult one, though, because that's what's made his career.
Oh, yeah, that's his identity in this game.
Right. And, I love Cowboy. I got love for Cowboy, right? Because we were fighting. We were fighting in fucking barns together.
Yeah.
Right. He almost convinced me to walk out of an arena once. like it was like our second fight. And he was like, hey, man, do you want to go? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we should go. We shouldn't do this. I was like, somebody get this motherfucker away from me because we're about to leave. We're really about to leave. So, yeah. But that's made it for him. But I will say with the Cowboy thing, there ain't nobody else that can live Cowboy's life.
No, only him. And those are the things as a coach you got to balance too. And in a lot of ways, I was Cowboy's coach, but I was his peer, right?
Hard one, right?
Which is, and you had that point in your career too. Even guys you work with like Overeem, you guys are the same age in a lot of ways.
We never trained together.
Which makes it a different factor.
Yes.
Which does. Whereas guys like, some of the guys I coach, like Carlos, Condit, and Cowboy, we were sparring partners, we were training partners, we were peers, and now I'm in this coach role. And I've definitely found it much easier now as like the next generation comes in. I'm six gun. I'm UFC coach, blah, blah, blah. It's much easier to have that voice. But where I really had to find it was with those guys that are my peers. Or the guys that were a little bit older than me, like Arlovsky, Overeem, and Kennedy,
Did you coach Tim?
Yeah. For I think 4 of his last fights.
Okay. Who was his last fight?
Gaslam in New York, yeah.
Right. I remember. I was at that card too. That's when Cowboy fought Matt Brown and Dober fought somebody. Yeah.
Oh, we were in Toronto, not New York.
That was Toronto. Yeah.
That was Toronto. We had 4 guys that night. Cub Swanson fought Korean Superboy.
Korean Zombie.
Not Korean Zombie. Dong Young Kim. No.
Oh yes, yeah. No, Dong Young Kim's a welterweight.
Yeah, not Dong Young Kim. I feel like an idiot right now. I can't. Yeah, Korean Superboy. I don't know what it is.
All right, whoever it was. But yeah, that was that.
Land of Banana that night. And he did the spinning heel kick knockout.
Yeah.
Come here, say hi. My youngest boy, Logan, just came in.
What up, Logan? How old are you, Logan?
8.
8. What grade are you in, buddy?
3rd.
3rd grade. I have a 4th grader who's 9, and I have a 1st grader who's 6. What's your favorite thing about school, buddy?
Look up there. What's your favorite thing?
Math.
Oh, I was a math major. I love math. Yes. Yes.
He's a smart kid over here.
That's right. Keep working hard in school. Stay in school. All right, buddy. Nice to meet you, Logan. But yeah, that was a hard one for me, man. Nate was a hard one for me because Nate got all of us into this game.
Yes.
Right? Like Nate's the one who took us to Albuquerque. Nate's the one who did all of this for us. And then the next thing you know, I'm Nate's coach. And it's like, okay, Nate, whatever you want. Like it's hard to say no.
Yeah, sometimes you're still in that, you're a brother in arms with them sometimes, and you're not that officer rank general.
Right.
And and that's where I'd kind of lean on Greg sometimes. Like, hey, Greg, I need a little help with this.
How much is Greg still around?
He's a lot more. He had a wave.
Right.
He had a wave where, he refocused on some other things in life. And I'm glad he took that time for himself. I think he deserves it. He was on the road more than I could ever imagine.
Every weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, and there'd be times he'd corner fight Friday night in New York, and then Saturday night he'd corner fight in LA, and it was just a brutal pace to see him go through. But he has so much love for the team and for the game, and it's just what he did. But I think he took some time and really kind of rebalanced things, and it also gave an opportunity for guys like me to come up a little bit and be at the helm on fights. Greg wouldn't want to go to middle of nowhere Brazil for a UFC fight night, whatever. Like, all right, Brandon, this is on you. And it was like, this is how I pay my dues too. This is part of my apprenticeship, right?
Yeah. It doesn't have to. You don't know when it's going to happen, but that's what the apprenticeship is for. So that when it happens, you're ready.
Sometimes I learned those lessons, being there in the, arena in Belo Horizonte by myself. My God,
vai morrer. Ooh, like, dude, we're gonna die. Why do we have to die? Why can't we just lose? Why, why do we have to fucking die? Like, why?
In a hospital in Tokyo for some pancreas fight with my guy, and then you're the one having to really give the words. And there's so much more to this game than just the mitts at the gym or the 15 minutes of a fight. Sometimes you learn those really hard lessons of what a coach is and what friendship is and what this brothers in battle is, when things don't go right. And when you're in there in the hospital in the middle of the night in a foreign country and you see dreams smash and, I know that that's also why Greg sent me. Not that he didn't want to go to Brazil, but it's like, Brandon, you got stuff, man. And all lessons help me even give the 2 words I might say to Jon right before he walks out, or yell in the corner, or say something between the rounds. Like, all of those have added up to these moments.
Yeah, everyone wants their worst moments to not have happened a lot, right? but you need that. Your worst moment taught you something. Hopefully, the very worst thing that's ever happened to you. Hopefully, it's why you are in this position where you are, whatever position that is for any of you, any of us. You know, is like that. That worst moment is part of it. It's not despite of it. It is because of it. And we like to only like credit the good things. But I was listening to Tony Robbins the other day, and he was like, "Man, I love my mom, and my mom beat the shit out of me. You know, my mom abused me and like all this stuff." He goes, but I have the utmost love for her because she showed me exactly kind of like what not to do. Like, what do I want in a wife? What do I want in a mom? What do I want in a parent? How do I want a parent? How do I want to do this? How do I want to, you know? And he's like, I needed that. And in the time I couldn't see that I needed that, but I love her and I thank her for every single thing she ever did for me. You know? So that hospital in Brazil, right?
Yeah, right.
That hospital in Brazil. What else could you have done but be in that hospital?
That's it,
man. So, hey man, I know it's getting bedtime for all of our kids, right? Like, so
do this again soon, Eliot.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate it, man.
And a lot of love for you, and anytime.
Man, I really the way you go through it, man, the there all day with your community, Albuquerque, which is a poor community, right? I'm sure it's not easy to get things done in we know it's not easy to get things done in poor communities, you know, and then to come to another community and help young guys, right? Not just Jon Jones, right? Mm-hmm. Help. Like the way you said, you know, Jon Jones gives you like the paycheck that he gives, that doesn't buy you a Lamborghini. That didn't buy you a Mercedes. That gave you the gas money to go with this kid who's going to give you nothing.
Yep.
Right. For this weekend. And that's what we got to do. You know, that's what we all have to do. We got to find those kids. We got to find those young people and be that spark in their life. And you're doing it, man. So fuck yeah.
Yeah, much love, bro.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Well, have a good night, and I appreciate you doing this, man.
I'll talk to you soon.
Right, man. Talk to you soon, bro. Find your power, everybody.